Welcome to the Hometown Hero Outdoors Podcast. Here is your host, Chris Tetrault.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hometown Hero Outdoors Podcast. We are in season 2 now. Today we have Arik and Megan Matson in their new home this year, and we also have Dale Mord from Rogue Productions. So, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing awesome. How are you guys?
Doing really good. How's life been down in the new house? Why don't you tell us about your guys' new house and all the changes that have happened in the last half a year?
We're coming up on 1 year, August 1st, since we moved into our new house. We moved from the small city of Freeborn out to the county. So now we have some acreage out here.
And we're starting our little funny farm, is what the community members are saying. We've added 2 ducks and a rabbit and a little hamster since we moved out here, on top of our 2 dogs and our 3 cats. So, yeah, I don't know what's next, right?
The girls like it, though?
Yeah. They did struggle, though, right away when we came out here, just because they've only ever known, like, city life. And so being out in the country, I mean, it was exciting. But then once we moved in and we're here for a couple weeks, reality kicked in and they were like, where's all of our friends? And I was like, well, we're going to have to invite them over now. They're not just right next door down the street. So, yeah, that was a little adjusting.
Yeah, a little more work, but at the same time, a little bit more comfort being out in the country and a little more freedom, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It's beautiful. The sunrises to the sunsets. Oh, it's awesome. And it's like Arik said, it's not that big of a piece of property, so it's not a lot to maintain. And we don't have any like buildings or whatnot. So yeah, it's very manageable. We're happy with it.
Exactly.
You guys said that you're getting ready to do some renovations too, right?
Yeah. So it's been a struggle to try and find a contractor to want to sign on to help with our remodeling for Arik's handicap accessibility needs. Mainly it's just like the bathrooms that need to be revamped, and then the entrance to our house needs to be redone. And then also we're going to add on another entrance / exit to the house, which will also have a deck added on to that as well. So that'll be nice for us to be able to sit out there.
Yeah, a little bit more adaptability. So you're having difficulties with contractors that want to sign on to do that, you said?
Yeah, because we have to work with the state of Minnesota for Arik's disability benefits. And they just don't want to do the extra paperwork per se, I guess. And some contractors are too booked up as well. But I think we have a contractor that everything's been going smooth so far. So fingers crossed, and we can just keep the train a-trucking.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, hopefully you guys get that figured out. I know paperwork can be a bear, but especially with government, but at the same time, at least there's programs there that'll help you guys out. So hopefully everything gets squared away here soon. So
yeah.
Well, Dale, hi, how are you?
Hi.
What's going on? You've had changes too.
Yeah, just plugging away. I was just telling the Matsons, the doc is going good. We just need to get everything filmed. We need to get some more interviews done and some more B-roll, and we should be set for later this year.
That's good. Yeah, the doc is well on the way. There's a lot of content to go through and storyboard to go through, and the editing process can be cumbersome. I understand that, but I know that we've had a pretty awesome trip with Arik up to St. Paul Island, and Arik had a very successful trip there. So I think we're going to start talking a bit about Arik's legacy trip with his King Eider and how that went. So, the days leading up to, it kind of seemed a bit surreal for me to actually, think that we're finally here, but it was, a long time coming. We got canceled for his trip in 2022, and I thought the year felt like 5 years waiting till 2023 to me. But Arik, so tell me, what did you think about the days coming, leading up towards the hunt? What did you feel like? What was the excitement? What kind of
I
things
just
did you do?
couldn't believe we were actually going, I guess.
Yeah, I remember getting text messages from you probably daily about getting to go. And I know Dale was telling me that you're pretty jacked, and a lot of communication about the excitement that was going on there. So I know that we did a podcast or live stream leading up to it too. And I think that was pretty cool for people to check in and see how you guys were doing, and then to gauge the excitement for the upcoming trip. But so what were your thoughts? You guys ended up getting into the vehicle to come up with Uncle Paul and Jeremy, and you guys met us at the airport. What was your thoughts when you got there?
Just how many people were helping to make this trip a reality.
Yeah, it's quite a few moving pieces and a lot of support from different individuals, which was fantastic. One of the cool things that happened at the airport there was, Carol Evan came out, did a little story with Arik and Megan and about the trip specifically, and a lot of supporters that came out. The big shout out to the airport PD, for being there and helping out through security. TSA was great to us. We even had some federal air marshals that were hanging out and helping out with Arik and getting through there. And
Remember, you guys said every time we fly, Arik, we're ringing you with if this is how we get treated.
oh man, it was probably the easiest TSAs that I've ever been through in my life.
Oh yeah.
So I'm traveling with Arik from here forward always.
Yep. Or I'll just say I'm the adopted son.
Yeah,
I'm not
right?
gonna lie. We've flown a couple times since then, and it is a breeze.
Nice.
We always got a joke about, what happened to him, but having that handicap accessibility card or his wheelchair has helped us a lot in certain situations.
And I was telling my wife that I need to do that TSA pre-check, but I just told him I'm going to come with you guys instead every time now. So just
TSA
slide right through.
Is key. I think it's the only way to travel. I make fun of everyone that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
but
I am going to get it.
I'll take the Matson way a little. I'll take that every time if I can.
You just need a wheelchair. Need a wheelchair.
Well, Dale probably could use one. So
yeah. Right. And a helmet. I need a helmet.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we got through the actual TSA side of things, and the airport PD gave us a nice little spot to hang out and be away from the crowds. But then we went and visited Arik's favorite spot, place to eat for the most part there. Went over to Buffalo Wild Wings. They cleared out an area for us. And then not much longer after that, it was time to go board the plane. So tell us about what happened when we went down to the plane, Arik.
That is announced on the intercom that we were on board and we were taking off to do our legacy hunt. And then outside, one of my friends, a state trooper, they were on the tarmac with their lights on, sending us off.
And the Waseca PD was there too.
Yep.
I was there. I got to watch it. So we rode next to you guys while you guys were on the plane. We were driving with the lights on, and as you were going up, we were right there. So that was pretty cool. Very unheard of.
Yeah, and there's an honor guard that was waiting for you to board the plane too. I remember there's lines of officers on either side right next to the gate that gave you a nice send off, and it was pretty moving. Dale, what were your thoughts about all of it? I mean, you guys were behind the camera a lot and trying to capture everything you could. What were your thoughts this whole time?
Yeah, it was just it was surreal. I just remember having the camera up because I was rocking the big shoulder rig, which I kind of it hides my face, thank God, because I'm sitting there tearing up the entire time. There was so much happening that I just to take it all in. And it was and thinking back of all the day I met Arik, we didn't even really actually get to meet any of you guys. It was back in 2020, watching you get off that plane and where your physical limitations were, and then now seeing you get onto another plane to go do what I knew what we were going to do. You didn't really know yet. It was just to see it all come together, and obviously almost, was it 3 years later?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. And so it's just it was a lot. It was a lot. And as the camera guy, I'm not supposed to matter, right? But seeing it all from the big picture is really surreal.
Yeah, like you said, you've been there since day one he landed, and you've been in and out of his, journey throughout the whole time, every month and whatnot. And so you both have really watched him progress.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are easy people to get along with, so it's not like we're just doing this trip and not talking in between. We check in on each other, and it's a family. It's something different that, most people who get documentaries, I'm sure they grow close, but this is different. There's definitely a personal element to everything, especially because of line of work, and just the family that's there. But as the documentary and the trip has progressed, and the ups and the downs and everything, it's been easy to get to know you guys and be able to communicate.
I still come downstairs about once a week and just look at the mountain, just think, holy crap, we actually went there and did it. Came back with him.
I know. I think about it all the time too. I know I saw earlier Dale was showing you some photos from when we were up there that Jeff gave us, and I have mine over here in my office, and every time I walk by it, man, it just makes me smile ear to ear. So it's a phenomenal. There it is. Picture of all of us. Yeah, so cool part too is, Eric's uncle, Paul, he was obviously with for the hunt, as well as his friend Jeremy. And they came with you, obviously, at the airport and helped out with a lot of different things. But it was pretty cool to be able to watch them and their reaction to everything, to the support that you were given that day and being able to help you. And it was kind of the cool part too, was that our friends at Delta Airlines actually gave us a tour of one of their facilities. Was that after we came back, Megan and Eric? After we came back. But they helped us out through the process too at the airport, and we actually got put on a brand new airplane. It was super nice. We sat in Comfort Plus, and Eric got a nice roomy seat up in the front there, and they treated us very well. And the pilot gave Eric a huge shout out, and all the stewards and stewardesses were awesome throughout the whole flight. But then we started on our 6-hour flight up to Anchorage, Alaska. And it was pretty incredible. And we all knew that Eric was super excited because he didn't sleep at all. He was wide awake and just jacked. And Eric, I mean, you take a couple naps here and there throughout the day, right?
I try to, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, you were pretty excited if you weren't napping on the way there, right?
Yeah.
It was a pretty late flight, too.
It was a late flight. Yeah, I think, what time did we land in Alaska? Well, we went back in time, so I think
11.
Yeah, 10 or 11. It was a quick turnaround. But we landed in Alaska, Anchorage, and it was dark out. And as we land, it was kind of cool. We have a friend up there who is now our state director for Alaska, John Reese. I met John Reese in Texas with a youth deer hunt, and John actually came and helped us out with our luggage. As you can imagine, 6 people and camera equipment, there was quite a bit of luggage and things to bring with as we get out there. And it was nice to have John come over, load up the back of his truck, and drive it over to the hotel and get everyone to the rooms. But what were your thoughts when we got that part, Eric, when we got to Anchorage?
Just that, holy crap, this is going to happen like tomorrow.
What about the weather? Is it cold?
The weather wasn't really cold then, no. I just love Charles always says, if you don't like cold and wet, don't bother coming, He tells it like it is.
It's true. But then he forgot that we're Minnesotans and we're kind of used to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. We got to our hotel, quick turnaround. I think we grabbed some dinner. I think we had a drink or two, and then we all went to bed. And then it really started. As we kept inching our way closer and closer to where we were going to be, it was just the excitement kept building, and it was pretty incredible. I don't think I slept very well that night, just thinking about all the things that were happening and the excitement for the next day and getting out to St. Paul Island, and then also freaking about things that I might have forgot for the trip. I was trying
I know Paul still denies ordering an extra medium pizza at like 3:00 in the morning, but I'm like, Paul, they have you on camera. You were there, man.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more here soon. Paul had a good time. That was on the way back. But yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, video and photos don't lie. But yeah, so the next day we all woke up. We all ended up putting on our float suits that morning and repackaging our gear to go on the small plane. We call it the puddle jumper, but how many people that thing sit? At least 16 or 20.
Yeah, it was like 16.
Yeah, so it wasn't as small as we thought it would be, but
it was a twin prop. I mean, it was a decent sized plane.
Yeah,
I know Jeremy was pretty scared of it though.
Yeah, he's not a huge fan of flying, especially over water. But we made it work, and I think it didn't help that when we took off, it was completely cloudy in every direction, and Jeremy had no idea where the mountains were. So I know he was staring at the pilots. They had some displays up there, and he was watching them just to make sure we weren't flying into the side of anything.
Why would he just like go over and grab the student?
Right.
Be like, I got this.
I got
It didn't
this.
change anything.
The people have flown it hundreds of times. Well, so we ended up getting to the airport, and it's a little bit different this time. No TSA, anything like that, and we just went down to this little hub in the airport. And at that point, we had to start weighing in all of our stuff, and it was a little different. Not only did we have to weigh it piece by piece, we had to weigh ourselves, and all the different gear that we had just to make sure that the plane had the accurate amount of weight and fuel. So that was a little different, but we did a hurry up and wait, got all our stuff on, got to the airport, got everything weighed, and then we had to sit there and wait for a couple hours and realized real fast that wearing our float suits there probably wasn't the best idea. Got a little warm.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So then we, as we continued to carry on that day, our pilot came in. I'm pretty sure he was half my age. He was not very old.
Yeah, but he told us how many hours he had logged behind the plane, and I think Jeremy felt a little better about it. But yeah, he was really, really young.
Yeah, he was super young. That dude just lived to fly. That was his thing. So, which obviously more comfortable, but it's pretty cool. So we ended up flying north. What was the city we stopped in, Dale?
Bethel.
Can you talk about Bethel real quick?
Which is way up north. I mean, Bethel is when you see that when you're about to land, you look out. It's almost like that scene from Star Wars where it's all snow and ice. That's literally what it looked like. There's nothing there. I think I've been in ice houses on Mille Lacs that were bigger than this airport. All it was is 2x4s and pallets and a toilet, basically. So that was sure something. Eric, what did you think of it?
Just that we're getting closer, guys. We're almost to island.
Yeah, I don't think you even got off the plane. I think you just stayed in the plane ready to go.
Yeah.
I remember when we flew in that looking around us that the road systems were kind of what you saw on TV, from when you're watching any of those Alaska shows. There's really no roads in or out. They're all frozen rivers and bodies of water that they're utilizing. You could see the roads on the ice that people are utilizing with their ATVs or snowmobiles, and you could see them running around out there. So it was kind of interesting to see the stuff that you've seen on TV about the remoteness and being close to the Arctic Circle is all right there. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, because are you in Bethel? Are you technically in the Arctic Circle at that point?
No, it's close though. It's super close. A little bit further north, and then you're finally in the Arctic Circle. But we hung out there for long enough for them to drop off mail and refuel, and then we were back in the air not that much longer after that, and it was another hour jaunt over to the St. Paul Island, and it was pretty good flying. There was smooth sailing for the most part. I don't think we had any really bad weather we had to go through, so that was nice. You always hear about a little bit of the horror stories about how the weather can be in the area, and we were pretty fortunate where we didn't have any issues. And as we continued, flying, and about an hour in, you can see the little radar, the map the pilots had up front. You could see us getting closer, and finally, in the distance, you could see a speck on the horizon. What were you thinking at that point, Eric?
I think at that point I was like, let's just land so I can get some sleep.
Yeah, you didn't sleep that day either.
No.
So flew to Anchorage, didn't nap, get there that night, didn't sleep that good. Then we get on the plane to get to St. Paul Island and still didn't nap. Excitement was still high. But just saw that island coming in and we were ready to touch down. And what were you thinking, Dale?
Oh, it was finally time, and the weather was good. It was, I was ready to get off that plane. I mean, I fly enough where I'm fine, but like I haven't had that much excitement ready to land before. I don't think.
Well, I mean, yeah, 3 years, since Arik his injury occurred, and working our way there, and 2.5 years since we told Arik we're doing this, and
Right.
to be flying over this body of water and seeing this little volcanic rock come on the horizon, and then as we get closer, you can see how blue the water is. You can start seeing the city of St. Paul, and it's just surreal to think that you're out in the middle of nowhere at that point, and there's no one within hundreds of miles, really. And
No, I mean, not really at all.
right, and seeing the volcanic ash that's out there, the dust from years ago, and blowing around the island, and snow-capped, smaller. I wouldn't even really call them mountains. They're, I don't know, what do you call them?
There are hills.
Giant hills. Yeah, but snow-capped. Pretty cool. Getting on the tarmac, we land. And there's a group of people sitting there waiting. There's the hunters that Charles Somerville had that were just completing their trip, and they were getting ready to get on the plane. And we got off, said hi to them, asked how things went. Excitement was there, and I think Arik tried to walk to the lodge at that point.
Yeah, he was
there.
clearing.
Yep.
Got off the airplane and you just started walking. You didn't know where you were going, but you were going to get there. It was pretty funny. But then Charles Somerville came out and said hi to us all, and then we all went over to the lodge and got settled in, and he gave us a tour. And it was kind of cool because Charles had an old ambulance that he utilized there for tours and getting people around. There's no windows in the back, so that makes it a little tough. But Arik got us sit up front with a tour, and it was pretty incredible to get to go see some stuff. And what were your thoughts when we were out driving around on the island, seeing it for the first time?
I think when Charles just pointed out, like, there's a king, it's like, holy crap, they're actually here.
He did, and there was a lot of kings out there rafted up on the water. What else did we see out there? We saw some old squaw, bunch of kings.
There's harlequins out there.
Yep, there's harlequins. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff we saw. A lot of marine wildlife too. Yep, we saw some seals and sea lions, right? Sea lions.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Trying to think here now. So we had this other group of guys that were with us that were pretty phenomenal too. You never know who you're going to be with and how things are going to work out. But we had 4 gentlemen that were from the southern states, a couple from Texas, and then I think one was in Louisiana. Is that right? Alabama. So they were super cool to be with. Actually, we got to get to know them pretty well. But so anything after the tour for the day, we really started trying to hone in on what the plan was for the next day. And that was, it was pretty exciting. So we got back, had a little meeting with everyone, had some dinner, and we got ready for the hunt. Did you sleep that night at all, Arik, or not?
Yeah, I believe I did. I think, like, the assignment finally was kind of wearing off that we're here and it's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, and then the work started. So the next morning we woke up and everything was prepped, and we had 2 boats between the 2 groups. We had Uncle Paul and Arik in one boat with Dale filming, and then in our boat we had Jeremy, myself, and our guide and our other camera guy Jeff, and that was all to try to get some decent footage of birds being shot, hopefully capture Arik getting his bird. And in preparation of that morning, in the waves that were out there, what did we do that morning, Arik? Taking some of those pills. Yes, sir. The Dramamine.
Yeah, I took a non-drowsing Dramamine to try to, like, kind of combat the waves and stuff, but I don't know, it affected me really badly because I got so drowsy halfway through the first morning. I told Charles, like, I gotta head in because I'm getting sick out here.
Yeah, so
So
we
I was
weren't
getting-
100. Go ahead.
I was
I
gonna
was giving
say,
Jeremy a hard time. I was calling him a drug dealer because I'm like, I don't know what you gave me, but it made me feel like crap.
yeah,
Yeah,
Paul,
what'd you say?
Paul had to
You
quit
got-
the morning too.
He did have to, yeah, and we weren't sure how Eric's TBI was going to handle the waves. You know, we had 6-7 foot waves that morning, but I mean they weren't aggressive; they were casual rollers. But you never know how someone's reactions will be if you don't have injuries in the ocean. But when you have a TBI, you know, how is that reaction gonna? How are
Yeah,
you
'cause
gonna handle those waves?
Even Paul puked that day. He goes, I've been out in Lake of the Woods and out in the ocean in Mexico, and I've never thrown up out there because that man does not puke very often.
Yeah. I mean, it was a different animal out there, you know, and I mean we were a good ways offshore. It wasn't too far out, but Eric took his Dramamine. It's supposed to be non-drowsy. We got out there and just knocked him out. He was tired, you know, not only from probably staying awake a couple days there, but also, you know, the Dramamine can have an effect on people, especially with the TBI. And Uncle Paul decided to hurl over the edge of the boat. And he was incredibly embarrassed and felt bad for him, but at the same time, like that's life and how the Bering Sea is. And that was another very large thing to me that was incredible to think that we were out in the Bering Sea. Like absolutely insane to be out there and seeing the ducks start flying. That morning, Uncle Paul shot 2 kings or 1?
Yeah, 2.
He got 2 that morning, and then obviously Eric not feeling well, he didn't have an opportunity to shoot. But we're just glad someone harvested some kings that day. That was great news. And Jeremy had shot a couple other birds that were not kings. I think he got a couple old squaw that morning, and then we headed in for the day. And Eric went down, took a rest, and we tried to reevaluate what we can do to help him out for the second day. And Dale, what do we do at that point?
Well, we figured out that some of the difficulties we were having we were starting to really learn, you know, what Eric can and can't do, right, or can't do as well. And I think Eric, remind me, is it your left eye that you can't really see that well out of, or is it?
No, it's his right eye, left arm, and leg.
Got it. Okay, so we were starting to learn, like, you know, because you had made mention, you're like, because I remember Charles saying, Eric, get ready to shoot. And you're like, I can't see them. You got to remember, those birds are flying 40, 50 miles an hour downwind. And we're hitting, I think Charles told us that it was 3 out of 10 on the difficulty scale on the waves that day. He said, this is perfect weather. It was not that bad. And we were rocking just kind of barely, like 3 or 4 foot rollers in the big boat, because we were getting out there a little bit. We weren't in the washing machine, as he calls it, right, in the surf. But when you put all those things together, you got birds flying faster than your typical mallard or even a teal. You got rolling waves. I mean, Eric, you can't see that well. You can't, you know, you're not able to move like what Chris or I could. So you put all those things together, it makes one very difficult hunt. And we were learning that the first day. So the second day, Chris, you want me to start on kind of talking about like the second day?
Totally, please do.
Sure. So after the first day, we kind of got together, and Charles and the guides were like, what can we do? There was a couple different things. So Charles and the guides were planning on for what we were going to do for the second day. And the second day, they came up together and they came up with an idea of putting the tripod gun mount on the front of the boat and having the decoys out the front of the boat, and then basically having us go backwards so that the string of decoys is in front of you. So when those birds go into decoy, you have a good shot at them. And in the trailer, if you remember, Charles talked about in the 21 years of him doing it, no one's ever shot a king actually sitting down on the boat. That doesn't make sense for a lot of people, but why that is so important is because your body takes the waves, your knees take the waves. So you stay kind of level if you are standing up or leaning up against the boat, but it's sitting in there. You're taking all those waves. So that movement is so much more drastic. So when he's saying how difficult it is to sit down, he's right, because your body can't adjust for that waves. And what we found out is when we got out there on the second day, you seemed a little more cheery and not so drowsy. And the biggest thing that what I think was the hardest part for you, Arik, was staying awake. I mean, bless the hearts of the people from Strike Master and Rapala, but what we didn't realize is those float suits were so warm, and the rocking of the waves, you're being put to sleep like a baby. I couldn't tell you how many times I was holding you up behind you. I was holding your chair forward because it just kept sliding. I'm holding this camera, trying to film, but I'm also stopping your chair from sliding back at me. And then on top of that, you were sleeping. I have a good hour of GoPro footage of you going like this. and so, on day 2, we had all these things put together, the tripod mount in the front, the ducks are out the front, we're holding you up, and then you're sitting there snoring. But I think that all kind of worked out because you needed every bit of energy when the time happened on day 2. So Arik, tell us how you felt on day 2 while we were out there.
I just was really blessed that the accommodations have been made so I could, I felt more confident that I was gonna be able to get one, and I could see what was going on much better and everything.
Yeah, we had another good day of weather. Like Charles says, a 3 out of 10, and I kind of fast forward. So out there we have the power hour, right? We get out there, the sun comes up, and it's go time. Those birds are rolling around trying to find a place to feed, and we were seeing birds. We were shooting at birds. We just couldn't get one to land right where you could see it. And so what we ended up doing after, because the power hour ended, we hadn't got one yet, and we looked over towards shore because that's where they ended up going to go feed, because they can dive up to 80 feet. So they're down there eating mussels or whatever, and sea urchins. So we looked over towards shore. Charles, about 400 yards away, Charles saw a bunch of hens fly up. There's probably a good 6 hens. And he immediately turned the boat and said, "We got to go over there." He goes, "The fact that we saw all those hens and no drakes makes me wonder that Drake's got to be still over there." So we started pedaling that way. Arik's snoozing. And once we get there, we got to the spot where those hens took off, and Charles immediately says, "Keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out." And I don't even know what he meant by that. I'm not a duck hunter, so I just press record because I'm just like, anything could happen. I have no idea what's happening, but anything could happen.
Right.
So we start looking around, and I think I spotted it. Because everyone's looking out. I was just looking in general because I didn't know what I was looking for. 50 yards from us, a drake popped up out of the water. He must have been down feeding, right? And immediately I slap your shoulder. I said, "Arik, get up and get on that gun." Because that gun is sitting up there like a gunner on a tank almost. I know nothing about that. Chris could probably tell us a lot about that. But
Yeah. The USS Matson.
yes. And Arik, you got up on that gun and you said, "Where is it?" I said, and I was basically aiming your gun to where I'm sitting there trying to film and aim you at the same time. And I got you on it. And you were like, "All right, ready." And Charles said, the second that thing starts flying, you start blasting. And at that moment, Arik, what do you remember? What do you think?
When you spotted it, like, what did you think?
I think I thought, holy shit, this is my chance and it's go time.
It certainly was go time. What happened?
2 shots, and then I just saw it hit the water, and I'm like, everything I've waited and worked so hard to do just came true right there. And I think Charles was just elated that I got it because he grabbed the radio and he yells on there, "The eagle has landed," and everybody knew what that meant.
Yeah, man, it was such an emotional moment for everyone too. Jeremy and I and Jeff and we were off in a boat elsewhere, and we couldn't even see you guys. And we heard the shots, and we sat there for a second. We're like, "Okay, was that it?" And then we heard Charlie come over the radio with the Eagles landed, and nothing but tears in our boat, man. Like just the relief, like, and the happiness. Like we came all this way to get Arik here, to get his bird. All the time spent with Arik and his family and doing his rehab and working his way to get here. And it all finally came together. And I mean, I'm not a duck hunter either, but damn, I mean, Bering Sea, 7-foot waves. You're hunting on 3 different, I'm trying to think of the right word. Axis. Thank you. So, a large boat that's tippy on large waves, and then yourself in the boat trying to level off on top of that. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
You gotta put the right lead on there to, accommodate for the waves, and then your boat going and the wind behind them and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did we watch people shoot directly into the side of a wave when they thought they were going to hit a bird? I mean, it happens. I mean, the swells come up and you're tracking a bird, and all of a sudden there's a wave there. So you're putting a bunch of BBs in the bunch of water. I mean, so it all just came together, and just hear the Eagles landed and have a minute to sit there and soak it in and just share it with everyone that Arik got his bird, especially after everything he's been through. Like, phenomenal.
And then to finally get it in my hands and look at it and how beautiful it was, I was like, it's all worth it. All that work, all the effort and support from everybody. This is what we came here for, and here it is, right here in my hands in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And one of the things that I absolutely love is our camera guy Jeff brought his drone with, and he tossed it up in the air right away afterwards and went and found him and got some phenomenal video of Arik holding his bird right away afterwards and holding it up in the air, and just such cool footage, to see you out in the Bering Sea and all this awesome gear and the things that people helped out with. And then Charles there and Dale, and you got that king in your hand, man. Like, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And it was so just moving. And
I felt like the Lion King moment where they're holding up the
Simba?
Yeah.
right. It's pretty much what it was like. No, it was just absolutely incredible. And that was obviously the highlight of everything, and memories that will never go away. And now you got it. Yes. And it's absolutely beautiful. And the best part is, everyone gets to relive that moment with you, not only be able to see the progress that was made throughout the injury and the rehab, but also gets to watch everything that you've been through with your family, and gets to relive that moment of you harvesting that bird. And that's going to be forever memorialized in a video, which is amazing. And I'm partial to Rogue, but some pretty damn good footage that we have out there too. So
appreciate that.
Yeah. So Arik gets his bird, we're all jacked. We slowly head back in. And at that point, I think that, Arik, did you feel like there was a huge weight lifted from your shoulders at that point? Finally getting the harvesting bird. Yeah. Why?
I just knew that Charles was doing anything he could to make it happen, and that it finally happened. He was like, "Oh, thank goodness, we got him out here. Now he's finally been successful at achieving what he wanted to do out here."
Yeah. No, I think all of us kind of felt that. It's there. There's times, and I'm sure you felt it too. Like, am I going to be able to do this? With your recovery and everything like that. And we were just determined to try to get you to do it and get you there and give you the opportunity, and you made it happen. And I'm just glad that we had good people around us, to include Charles and his other guides, because they adapted and overcame. And, they did some things that were untraditional for their types of hunts. And it was phenomenal. But we got back to camp that day, and we all kind of had a beverage, and all had a sigh of relief and excitement, and celebrated. And it was a great day. I will never forget it. That's for sure. So I appreciate you sharing it with all of us, Arik, and Megan. I appreciate you letting us borrow them for that. It was pretty incredible.
Absolutely. He was definitely tired when he came back home.
Totally. Yeah, I believe it. I was tired when I came back home. But yeah, so, kind of the cool part too is we're going to switch tracks a little bit here, is Megan actually went on an adventure of her own while we were up there, which is pretty cool. Do you want to talk about your trip too, Megan?
Yeah. So I went to, I believe you pronounce it like Guama Island, and it's an island where Charles and Helen actually go during their off season and spend a few months there to relax. And it takes about 12 hours to get there, and 3 different planes and a boat ride. And I had a little hiccup the day of my first day of traveling there. The waves were too big, so the boat wasn't able to go out. So I had to find a place to stay the first night, actually 2 nights, because I came in the same day you guys left, and then the ferry doesn't leave on the weekend, so I had to wait till Monday to go out. And by the time I got to Guama Island, it was just a whole nother world. It reminded me of Jurassic Park, just untouched land, very rich green, aqua blue waters. They have like the volcano underneath the ocean, so the sand has like glitter in it. The vegetation, the food is amazing. The hospitality of the natives that lived there are just so humbling and kind. It was a great week-long vacation by myself. We went hiking to a couple waterfalls, went snorkeling, seeing sharks, octopuses, stingrays, and overall wonderful experience. I would definitely go back, and it was a great opportunity for both of us to just take some time apart and reconnect with ourselves,
Arik got to go hang with the boys out in harsh weather climate, and you got to go chill on a beach and unplug.
Yes.
That's good. So when you were down there, I know we were checking in with you occasionally, just to see how things were going. And what were your thoughts when you first heard about him getting his bird?
I remember getting the message. I was sitting in the hammock reading my book, and I literally threw the book down, sat up, looked at my phone. I was like, no way. Already? It's the second day and he already got it. And I was just so excited, because I was nervous. I was like, oh my God, what happens if he doesn't get it, And actually, did I not? Because I've said this the last couple of times you've gone duck hunting. I'm like, but did he really shoot it? Or did one of you guys shoot it and then just say that he shot it? I mean,
right.
And then you guys are like, no, he really shot it. I'm like, but did he? And you're like, no, he did. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We watched that footage 10 times over and over again to make sure, because from a video perspective, I want it to be a clean kill too, right?
Yeah.
One, it's easier for us to edit that way, and 2, then it's not like we're living it alive. But we replayed that slow motion every single time. There was
oh my God, I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it.
Trigger BBs. And I was like, yeah, it matches up.
Yeah.
Dude peppered it.
Yeah, he got it. And then I think didn't Uncle Paul help out at the very end just to make sure?
Yeah, well, everyone. So like even like our ducks, like well, the second because they're divers. I lost. I mean, yeah, it's just what happens. You hit them. Their fail safe is to go underwater. Like that's their protection is underwater. And so the second you hit one, if it's wounded and it goes underwater, you ain't getting that thing back.
No.
So it is what I would call industry standard to hit it on the water a couple times, just because you want to make sure that thing is floating and not alive. So yeah, Paul put the nail in the coffin, and it was time to pick it up.
Yeah, Eric definitely hit it twice, and Paul just made sure that he got his bird back. But no, it was definitely Eric shooting that dropped that bird, which was absolutely amazing. And like Dale said, the footage that we have of it tells no lies, so it's pretty awesome. But no, it was cool. I was glad you got to break away and have some fun down there. And
I just can't believe it's here still. I keep looking at it like, holy crap, how far did we go to get that bird?
Oh man, the other side of the world.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool too because right, we were up, in the Bering Sea, and then you had Megan down in a different hemisphere, like completely, it was just wild.
Completely polar opposite.
Finally, Jeremy got a bird that he can mount, because I've been hunting with him for so long and he always gets one. And we took one there, and the taxidermist was like, well, I want to do this position with it, but the wing was broken, so he couldn't do it.
Oh, really? Was that one of his kings?
One of his a widgeon shot.
Oh, the widgeon. Got it. Yeah. He told me that I think he had it donated for someone to do for like a bird mount with the dog. Yep. Where the dog was holding it in the mouth. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, so we concluded his hunt that day. We had a celebration. We sat, we thanked the guides, had a beverage with them, hung out with our friends from the South, had a good time with them too. Absolutely phenomenal stand-up people that we were with that were very supportive, and we're just as anxious to hear about Arik and his hunt as the rest of us were to see Arik and his bird. So it was pretty cool. These guys to show up and be supportive like they were was great. Then day 3 for the hunting, Arik was wiped, and we asked Arik if he wanted to go back out. And I believe at the time, Arik, your words were, "I'm tired. You guys go hunt and have fun." That sound accurate?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Arik stayed back on day 3 to catch up on his sleep, and the rest of us went to the north end of the island, and we got to hunt birds that day, but in a less traditional aspect. We were in dinghies, 15-foot little rubber boats, and some pretty Zodiacs, and some heavy surf, and that was pretty wild. That was Dale's very first duck hunt ever.
Well, successful duck hunt.
Yeah, successful duck hunt. And then Jeremy and Dale hired a boat. Why don't you talk about that experience?
That was absolutely insane. When you think of like a duck hunt like in Minnesota, if you're a rich hunter, you got a nice duck boat, big mud motor, right, Arik?
Yep.
And you're going out there, and it's not so bad, but you got wind. That's probably the only thing that's really going against you out there. Well, in Alaska, you have a 4-foot, was it a 14-foot dinghy, right? It's rubber, there's water all over the place. You're
a foot out of the water.
Yeah, you're basically, to get out into the water, you have to get wet. Like, there's no such thing as being dry in that. And it's 30 degrees out. It's windy. There's 10-foot swells. You're getting pulled out there. You're in the surf. So you imagine like trying to ride a surfboard to get over the waves. Well, that's what you got to do but you're trying to stay warm, and there's just no such thing as warm in that. You're freezing the entire time. But you see the decoys, it's just a funny way of hunting, because when you're at the bottom of the swell, your decoys are at the top. So the ducks, when they're flying, they see just the decoys for that split second. Then it changes, then it goes back, then it changes, then it goes back. And those ducks come flying at you, and you're just sitting low on the water. And when the guy tells you to shoot, you just pop up and the birds are right there in your face. And they're flying at 40 miles an hour. You got to lead them like 10 feet, even though you're only 20 feet away from them. It is the craziest thing. And I got to use the Benelli that Eric was gifted from Benelli, which was awesome. I felt like I couldn't miss that day. Jeremy and I were shooting into clouds of old squaws and dropping 4 of them. It was just like the craziest thing I've ever witnessed. And I think I was frozen. Like, I remember getting back on the beach and being like, I'm straight frozen. Like, I could not move my arms. The second you got out of the water, the wind started to hit you and everything started to freeze up.
And the adrenaline kind of starts to wear off.
Yes. And now I'm frozen. But I remember, I think I'd shot 2 king drakes, 1 king hen, 2 old squaws, and 1 harlequin. So I came back telling Charlie it's the St. Paul Island Grand Slam. It was all 3. So I was super stoked, and I am grateful for you, Eric, for 1, shooting your bird on day 2, and 3, letting us go for it.
That's awesome that you were able to get all that.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that your first duck hunt, you get the most of, or the hardest duck to get in the world, essentially.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm super grateful. It's just one of the trips that I'll probably never forget. And I know my career is pretty early yet, but I don't know. I don't know how you top that. I really
just
don't.
keep on going. Just keep on going. Get the rest of them.
Right. Well, so to switch gears, I know now that everything's kind of all settled and the dust has settled, obviously the doc hasn't come out yet, but now what, Eric? I know we had talked about the 41. I know on the island you had said, I don't really need to go after anymore, but I think there's just so much more. You're young, man. There's so much more to live, and going after the 41 is just, I think you might as well, right?
I think I have to now. Looking around my basement, I have about half of them, but there's still like 12 or 13 I have to get, I believe.
So Eric, why don't you explain what the 41 is? What is it? Is it the Ultimate Waterfall Challenge? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Why don't you explain that, Eric? What is it?
Essentially, all the ducks that you can get in North America.
There's 41 total, right?
Yep, and you harvest them, and you take a picture of them, and then you send it into a committee, and they review it and say, "Yep, you have accomplished the North American Waterfall Challenge," and they give you a certificate and acknowledge you.
And I think, is Charles on that committee as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, as we're sitting down here looking around, he literally has like half of them already. So why not? Why not keep going for that title?
And you get to go to some pretty cool places to go get some other ones too.
Yeah, where else would you have to go to get some of the harder ones?
Mexico,
yep.
Where else? Maine or no?
East Coast.
Yeah, probably Maine. Yep. You have to get the other Eiders still too, right?
Yeah, the common Eiders.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a Pacific one?
Yep, Pacific, Common, King. The other hard one I think is, obviously the cinnamon teal is one of the hardest.
Yep, Paul's already got that. Somehow he got that around here.
Yeah, that's.
He's got like a horseshoe up his,
right.
Paul's got like a horseshoe up his ass. He's shot an old squaw around here too.
Yeah, that's time spent in the field though. Those boots and waders have miles on them. But I think there's some other ones that you can go harvest too up with Charlie up in Cold Bay. Some of the geese and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that'd be an awesome thing to do, Eric. And I'd love to go do a couple more with you. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But so, yeah, pretty cool thing too is we got back from the trip, everyone kind of unwound for a little while. And one of the things that we did was we got Eric's bird up to a taxidermist right away. We had Jerry up at Flyway Taxidermy donate his bird mount. So we hurry up and got that done. I don't think Eric even knew his bird was gone at that point in time. Yeah, we got it up to Jerry, and Jerry had it mounted within 6-7 weeks.
Or
And
I thought it was
then-
like sooner than that.
I think it was 2 weeks, but then the habitat that it was in, they had to finish. And for the listeners, you can go to our website or our social media, and you can see the photos with Arik, or even Eric's got him on his social media, and so does Megan. But his bird that is completely and fully mounted got done in record time. Usually, these mounts take sometimes years to get back. And at our annual banquet this last March, we actually had it there on display, but no one could see it. Rogue had completed the trailer for the documentary, which we aired for the first time at the banquet, and then the bird was hidden underneath a blanket on the stage, and we brought Arik up there to reveal it to him. So, Arik, did you have any idea that's what was on stage?
No, I had no idea the Texans even had it. I think I asked somebody, I'm like, we got to get that duck up there, guys, so we can get it started. And they're like, oh, we'll take care of it. Well, had I known it was already done.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So what did you think when you saw it? Like when we had you turn around and we pulled the blanket off of it, it was pretty cool because Charles Somerville came to the banquet to surprise you and say hi. And so did Jerry, the taxidermist, came up there who mounted it for you. Like, what were your thoughts when you got to see those guys and see the bird?
It was exactly what I wanted, because I think I told somebody, like, I want it flying over a wave with its mouth open. And I look at it, I'm like, it's exactly what I pictured.
Yep. I remember you sending me the picture, and I gave it to Jerry, and so did Dale.
Were you surprised to see it? Like, wait, what? It's here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. I think the whole room cried that night.
I got in trouble.
What did you get in trouble
I
for?
got in trouble because Sam saw how big the bird was and how many I had, and she was like, wait. It all started to click. I was like, thanks, Arik.
Yes, honey, we're gonna have an entire room dedicated to these ducks.
Yeah, just a giant corner. That's all. That thing is huge. I don't think people realize. I don't think people realize how big that is.
I think we could say the body is as big as a football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably right.
Yeah, it's as big as a football, but then I don't even know. We should have
That's a
measured
big bird.
seen how long it was. The wingspan on it is probably well over 24 inches.
So
yeah,
in comparison to an actual a mallard, I've never even held a dead mallard. That's how bad that I am at this.
Where is your mallard?
What's the size, Matson? Arik, what is the size comparison between a mallard and a king?
Is that a mallard right over there?
I don't have a mallard down here, honey.
Oh, you don't? Okay. He asked you, what's the size between a mallard and a king?
I would say that a king is pretty comparable in size.
Oh, it is.
Body size and wingspan and everything, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, king's a bit bigger. King. I would say the king's a bit bigger, but
what's that over there?
Which one?
That red one.
Oh, that's a canvasback.
It definitely is very, very comparable to a canvasback. I mean, that bird looks massive over there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, diver birds, they're pretty chunky for the most part. Well, not all of them, but some of them. But yeah, it was pretty incredible.
King Eiders are a hardy bird, though, to live in those elements all year round.
Right. Yeah, and that lobe on the front of the beak that they have too is very unique, and we had some more juvenile ones that had less of a lobe on the front beak or the forehead, and as they get older, that lobe grows. So they're able to age birds pretty easily based on that lobe size, which is kind of cool. And Arik got a very mature one, so that's even more cool. But, these birds really they don't have a natural predator out there, and they migrate pretty heavily during that time of the year in January, and there was kings everywhere. I mean, clouds of kings, but then there's also clouds of old squans, clouds of harlequin everywhere, and we even saw some scoters out there. So it was really, really incredible and beautiful to be out there and experience the wildlife that was out there, and be able to hang out with friends, with Arik, Jeremy, Paul, Dale, and Jeff. It was just phenomenal to be able to be out there and experience that together. And
The only predators
Man,
were the boys from Minnesota.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just irreplaceable memories that I will always hold on to. And I'll be honest, like Eric, I hope someday that you and I can go back and, get to see it again and reminisce about the first hunt, and maybe we can drop some more birds another time. It wasn't cheap, but we can figure it out.
Go to Mexico and get a cinnamon teal. I'll come with.
Yeah, let's go do that. I'd be down.
You boys ever heard of Mexico?
Yeah. We'll bring the wives with, and they can go chill while we go duck hunting.
There you
Absolutely.
I like it. But no, so he got his bird, brought it home, good to go. And, Dale's and Rogue is chugging away on the documentary. We're looking at a release later in 2023. We're thinking around Thanksgiving, early December, just for some safe buffer room here. We're looking at the next legacy trip recipient too. And I know I've spoken about it several times, but Arik and Megan are going to help pick that person. Right now we're down to 5 people that are going to be able to pick that. I have one more individual to speak with here, which by the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably already be done. And I'm hoping to have the information over to Arik and Megan in the next 2 weeks. Again, by the time the podcast comes out, they'll probably already be picked. And we're looking to see how we can integrate the next individual's story, maybe as a teaser at the end of the doc for Arik, but we don't know yet. I mean, there's a lot of question marks.
It probably won't be as extreme as this legacy hunt, though.
Yeah, yours is hard to beat when it comes to that, man.
Yeah. When you picked it, everyone was looking around like, "What is this?"
Right. Hey, man, we got the hard one out of the way, and you got your bird behind you, so we says we don't suck at what we do, at least.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm excited for you guys to pick, and I think it'll be pretty awesome for you guys to be able to meet the next person, and get to hang out, get to know them, and be a part of it. And definitely, just because this trip is over, does not mean that you guys are not involved in anything else down the road. We will continue to be family and involve you in all the legacy trips and everything else that we have going associated with it. So you guys are going to be stewards of that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, I still tell people, hey, come over and see my king mount whenever you can.
Man, maybe we should bring it to your premiere too. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
Get it put on the pedestal and put a couple of lights on it at your premiere. So we're hoping to do a premiere of the video. We're going to do it either in Owatonna or Albert Lee, likely. We still have more discussion on that. Then we're going to have a couple more viewings, one in the East Metro for the Minnesota, Woodbury area, and probably one in St. Cloud. Excuse me. So we got some things we're figuring out with that, but that'll be an opportunity for people to come and watch it in a theater setting. But then we're hoping to have it on a streaming network as well, which we'll put out more information as we get closer on that. But I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I think it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait for that night to hang out with you guys and watch it for the first time with you.
I'm going to dress up.
Watch it. Are you?
I'm going to dress up really, really fancy that night, yeah.
You going to do tuxedo?
Heck yeah. Red carpet premiere, baby.
Can you wear a top hat for me at least?
If you'd like me to, I'll wear whatever.
With his pimp cane.
Hell yeah.
Walking stick.
Gator skin shoes with your tux. I'm down.
Oh, man.
Well, it's going to be great. And, man, it's been an experience, and I appreciate you both and really value your guys' friendship. And
we appreciate the opportunity that you guys, did for Arik. So it's awesome. Once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yep.
No thanks needed. I've made friends and family. That's all we need. Dale, anything else?
I'm good, man.
Arik, what were you going to say?
I was going to say it's here.
And it's beautiful.
Rise
Absolutely
and shine.
beautiful.
Cider time.
Yes, sir. That was his.
That was my morning
trip.
Yep. I told Paul that every morning. I'm like, rise and shine. It's Eider time. And he'd like sit up and be like, all right, let's do this, Arik.
Yeah. Well, we can't let Paul skip out on what happened on the way home.
Oh, yeah.
We can't forget that. We almost missed that. So you alluded to it earlier. We get back to Anchorage and we go to have dinner that night, and I'm exhausted, and we had an extra almost a full day in Anchorage the next day, and Paul, Dale, and Jeff decided that they were going to go hang out with our Southern boys in town, and I knew that sounded like a hangover, so I did not go with. Yeah, Dale and Eric, I'll let you guys talk about what happened that night.
Yeah, we went out to the carousel. The only reason why I remember that is because they gave me a bunch of stickers, apparently. And I put them all over my Pelican cases. Like wherever I travel, I put stickers. And so that's the only reason why I remember. But we were out and about, and the carousel treated us well. And then we went to a pizza place. The only reason why we all know that is because of my Snapchat story. And Paul was convinced that we never had pizza.
But he probably ate a whole pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And what size did he get?
He got an extra medium pizza.
Oh, Paul.
And he didn't believe he was there. I'm like, Paul, they have camera footage of you to prove it. You were there, man.
I remember walking down the hallway after breakfast with him, and Dale's like, yeah, man, you put away that pizza. And Paul's like, we didn't have pizza last night. He goes, no, we did. He goes, no, we didn't. Dale's like, no, it's right here. And he goes, man, I ate a whole pizza last night. Dude, it was, and the incredible part is he had no hangover. Like you said, he doesn't get hangovers.
He's a beast.
Man, that was cool. But it was fun. He was a good guy to get to know and hang out with. And I can see why you guys get along so well. You know, pretty awesome relationship you two have. He's the man. All right. Well, if you guys have any last comments or anything like that.
No, I just thank you guys.
Just love you guys and thank you for everything. And whenever you need us next, let us know. We'll be there in a second, okay?
Totally. I appreciate that. We love you guys. And just want to let our listeners know to keep an eye on all our social media. Go follow Arik and Megan. Follow Rogue, any of us, HHO. And you're going to see a lot more updates as we get closer to the premiere, or the release date of Arik's documentary, showing everything that he's been through, him and his family, and the struggles, but what the outdoors can do to help people as well. As I think that this has been a very large goal for him, and it's helped him to be able to work towards a goal for his rehab. And please just keep an eye on everything and share it with whoever you can when you get a moment. So, but for this episode, that's all we have today. So thank you for tuning in and listening. And as Dan Meyer would always say, is we'll see you out in the water or in the woods.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you, buddy. We'll see you.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Hometown Hero Outdoors podcast. For more information, visit our website at hometownherooutdoors.org.